Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I have another question. 1 Corinthians 14, chapter 14, verse 33 to 35 states, "As in all the congregations of the saints, women should remain silent in the churches. They are not allowed to speak, but must be in submission, as the law says. If they want to inquire about something, they should ask their own husbands at home, for it is disgraceful for a woman to speak in church." In 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 11 to 12, there is a similar instruction. "A woman should learn in quietness and full submission. She must be quiet." At first glance, these passages seem to issue a universal command that women are never allowed to speak in the church for any reason. In both cases, a closer examination of the context is necessary. The whole of 1 Timothy chapter 2, well, that doesn't make sense. The whole of 1 Timothy, and then they just say a specific verse. Quoted only partially above is this: a woman should learn in quietness and full submission. I do not permit a woman to teach or to assume authority over a man. She must be quiet, for Adam was formed first, then Eve, and Adam was not the one deceived. It was the woman who was deceived and became a sinner. Note that Paul specifies the subjects of teaching and assume the authority. A woman is to be quiet in that she does not teach men in the church, and she shows her submission to authority by learning. In other words, this is not an absolute command for women to remain silent at all times in all services. There are also some contextual considerations in the 1 Corinthians chapter 14 passage. Earlier in the same epistle, Paul mentions situations where women are allowed to pray and prophesy in public, but every woman who prays or prophesies Commentators suggest various ways of reconciling. Women pray and prophesy with 1 Corinthians chapter 14. Women are silent. Chapter 11 gives the rule for a smaller group of believers. Chapter 14 gives the rule for an entire assembly. Chapter 11 focuses on dress, head coverings, as a symbol of submission without regard to the propriety of a woman praying or prophesying, the subject of prophesying being addressed later in chapter 14. Chapter 11 acknowledges that in the Corinthian church women prayed and prophesied, but Paul reserves his condemnation of women prophesying for chapter 14. Taking a closer look at 1 Corinthians 14, we see the overall concern is orderly assemblies. The church of Corinth was noted for the disorder rampant in that assembly. It seems that everyone in the church service was participating whenever and however they desired. Those with the gift of tongues were speaking simultaneously, and no one was concerned with interpreting what was being said. Those with a supposed revelation from God were shouting out randomly, even if what was said could not be heard above the din, and apparently no one was evaluating what was being offered as prophecy. The meetings in Corinth were characterized by chaos, and no one was being edified or instructed. To remedy this, Paul instructed a number of groups to be quiet at certain times and under certain conditions. Verses 27 to 28. Those who would speak in tongue must keep silent. If someone else is speaking, or if there is no one to interpret what is said. Verses 29 to 31. A prophet must be silent if someone else has the floor. Verses 34 to 35. Women should keep silent to show proper submission. 1 Corinthians 14:33 to 35 appear in a specific context. Most of 1 Corinthians chapter 14 is a discussion of tongues and prophecy. The immediate context of verses 33 to 35 is the evaluation of tongues and prophecy. Women are to be silent in that context. In 1 Timothy chapter 2, 11 to 12, women are prohibited from teaching and exercising authority over men. In 1 Corinthians 14, verse 33 to 35, women are prohibited from participating in the authoritative evaluation of any revelation given in tongues or prophecy. Doing so would be exercising authority over men. There are many roles women can fill in the church. The only roles women cannot fill in the church are the ones that involve teaching or exercising authority over men. The evaluation of new revelation given through the spiritual gifts of tongues and prophecy would involve exercising authority over men. Therefore, when tongues and prophecy are being evaluated, women are to remain silent, interpreted in its context. 1 Corinthians chapter 14, 33 to 35 is not a commandment for women to be silent at all times in church. Rather, it's a command in agreement with 1 Timothy chapter 2, 11 to 12, that women are not to exercise authority over men in the church. Thank you for listening to this question. I'll see you next time.